How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we have two trades, one small one, one big one, that we're going to be discussing in today's video. Now, of course, after I recorded the last free agency trades video of all the trades that went down, of course after I recorded it and uploaded it, of course another trade came out an hour and a half after, and it just happened to be a pretty big trade. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it right now, like the video or whatever. We're going to be covering all the big signings per team in the AFC, and then all of the big signings per team in the NFC. Those will be two separate videos. And I'll probably do it I don't know, Friday, Saturday, because let's face it, more things are going to happen, more things will become official. So if I do it, I'm going to have to make another one, basically. So let's go ahead and talk about the smaller trade first. We're going to go out of order. The Cleveland Browns trade a 2021 7th round pick for fullback Andy Janovich. It makes a lot of sense, obviously I'm not going to say, oh, there's a winner and a loser. It just makes sense, Cleveland hiring Kevin Stefanski, who does the zone run scheme. They're going to need a fullback in that offense. They didn't have one on roster, so it makes sense. If you look at what Stefanski did with the Minnesota Vikings, along with Gary Kubiak, who's kind of the mastermind behind the offense, they had a fullback who was a Pro Bowler, C.J. Ham, and they're pretty much going to replicate that offense, obviously. So, yeah, I don't really have much more of a breakdown than their offense needs a fullback, so they traded for a pretty good one. Now let's get to the big trade. So, the Buffalo Bills are acquiring star wide receiver Stefon Diggs and a 2020 7th round pick. In exchange, the Vikings will be receiving a 2020 first round pick, a 2020 5th round pick, a 2020 6th round pick, and a 2021 4th round pick. So I'll go ahead and break it down. I think the Vikings got really good compensation overall. I know a lot of people are going to compare it to the Hopkins trade. You can't compare the two trades because they're two totally different trades. To me, I don't get why fans do that. It's oh, let's just compare one trade to the other just to make it look cute and see who got ripped off. Obviously, we know the Texans got ripped off, but there are people out there saying the Vikings completely robbed the Bills. No, they didn't. The only real draft pick they got was a first rounder and a fourth, which is still really it's still really good for Stefon Diggs, but he's also one of the top 10 receivers in football as well. So yeah, kind of makes sense to give up a first and a fourth round pick. You're not trading for Julio Jones, but I get it. People are going to compare it to the Hopkins trade because he is a better receiver straight up, and there was significantly less given up. But to me, if you just look at the two trades, even if you want to look at them together, I mean, the Texans got ripped off, and to me, the Bills, they didn't really have to give up a whole lot. Oh my gosh, they gave up 4 draft picks. Well, if they just trade down in the second round, they can get all those picks back and more. They won't have that first round pick, obviously. So, obviously, you're just going to give up the first and the fourth round pick. But, that 5th and 6th round pick, who cares? They'll just trade down and get it back, in the draft, obviously. So, who cares? Why are people making such a big deal out of, oh my god, they gave up 4 picks? They really gave up 2 picks. Because they'll probably trade down, several times in the draft to get all the capital. To make it look like they didn't really give up anything, which they didn't. As for the Bills, though, we'll explain it from their point of view. Obviously, they needed another wide receiver. They did a good job last offseason, making some savvy acquisitions at the wide receiver position, bringing in John Brown from the Baltimore Ravens, bringing in Cole Beasley from the Dallas Cowboys. But they needed more receiver help. I mean, that was pretty obvious. I mean, Robert Foster's cool. He was an exclusive rights free agent. He's cool, but, he ain't really putting you over the top. Who else did they have? Isaiah McKenzie. They actually declined his exclusive rights for agency, so he's just an unrestricted free agent as of today. They actually declined his rights or whatever, which is kind of weird. I mean, he was kind of decent for them as a gadget player, on screens and reverses and stuff. But getting Stefon Diggs, you're getting a number 1 receiver. You're getting a guy who arguably might just be one of the best route runners in football, like straight up. Diggs is really, really good at what he does, man. He's one of the better receivers in our league, and Buffalo's going to get him. I did make a joke to a friend, by the way, totally joking when I say this, well, partially. I said that Stefon Diggs went from a quarterback that won't throw him the football to a quarterback that's going to overthrow him by 10 yards. So basically going from Kirk Cousins to Josh Allen. But I'm joking, man. You know, like, Josh Allen did show a lot of improvement last year, and I think he'll continue to do that, especially by getting Stefon Diggs. So for the Bills, you're getting a number one receiver. Yes, you know, the wide receiver class is stacked, but I don't think they would have went receiver in the first round unless it was T. Higgins. So, yeah, and I did mock T. Higgins to that team, but now they don't have to spend that pick. You know, but like if T. Higgins, you know, wasn't there, or maybe he gets an injury, I don't think the Bills take him. But you know, now obviously they still have a second round pick, third round pick. I don't know why people are like freaking out. Oh my God, they gave up 4 picks. They really gave up 2 picks, if you think about it. From the Vikings' point of view, now, you know, shout out to Buffalo getting a great receiver. But from the Vikings' point of view, I mean, they're going to be in cap space hell. They already are, and they've done the best they could to manage that situation. They haven't really been able to make any, like, signings in free agency outside of just handling their own locker room. So, in a way, they're getting worse, because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Okay, that's just the saying in the NFL around this time of year. If you're not doing anything to get better, you're getting worse. The Vikings, they've gotten worse, but I think they'll have a pretty good draft, and I think because of that, I'm not too worried about the Vikings trading Stefon Diggs. You know, you got 2 first-round picks, boom, you could draft 2 starters. I think, I don't even know if they'll draft a receiver in the first round, to tell you the truth, but I think if they were to draft one in the first round, my ideal fit for them would be Justin Jefferson. Because, yeah, he's not explosive like Stefon Diggs, but he's that slot receiver who, yes, can play the outside. I know he played, like, 97% of his snaps on the in the slot or whatever, but he would be a good, I guess, fill-in for Stefon Diggs, not necessarily a replacement. So I could see them doing something like that maybe, but I think with the Vikings, obviously in cap space hell, any draft pick, any draft compensation was going to be good. I think they have like 13 picks now in this draft, which, you know, good for them. You know, I mean, they've had to cut Linval Joseph, Xavier Rhodes, Everson Griffin. I'm surprised they haven't, you know, hit up Everson Griffin for like a short, you know, maybe like take less money to come back and play for us type of deal. I'm kind of surprised he's still out there. He's a really good player. You know, I know he's like 31, but again, a 1-year deal. Come on, make it happen. But from the Vikings' point of view, again, you get all these draft picks. It helps you get out of this bad cap situation. They'll still have Adam Thielen. They'll still have Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith, Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. Like, yeah, they'll add another receiver. This is a good draft class to do it. I expect them to add a couple in this draft. Even if it's not in the first round, I wouldn't freak out. They're going to be good second, third, fourth round talent at receiver. You know, I'm not saying they'll all be good, but you'll definitely find really good, talented ones in those rounds. So I really wouldn't freak out if I'm Minnesota. Yeah, I don't expect them to be this juggernaut team that was 10-6 next year, because you lost, like, what, 4 starters, assuming they don't bring back Everson Griffin. You lose Xavier Rhodes, Linval Joseph, Everson Griffin, and you just traded Stefon Diggs. But Diggs was part trolling and just acting like a diva at the same time. I mean, like, I hate to say that about Diggs, but let's be real. He's a massive troll on Twitter. You have to follow him to know. And he's kind of a diva. You know, he's an attention seeker, man. Like when he posted that cryptic message about time for a new beginning, if you look at the time period that came out, it was like an hour after Kirk Cousins got his 2-year extension. But, you know, some people were like, oh, well, he's talking about with this coronavirus thing. It's time for him to, you know, like, just stay on lockdown or something. Like, maybe, you know, I can see it. You know, I kind of bought into that too, because Diggs is a massive troll, man. You can't take anything he says serious. and then boom, the trade goes through an hour and a half after I do my video, talking about the other 4 trades that happened, some big ones in there as well. But overall, I think it's a fair trade for both sides. Diggs, again, great receiver. He's not like a top 5 receiver, but I'd say he's top 10, top 12 at the very worst. But I think the Bills, I think they'll be fine. They're getting a good receiver. The Vikings, I do expect them to have a pretty good draft. I expect them to be fine. And there's still a lot of big free agents out there. I don't know what the money's looking like right now for the Vikings, but they can go take a flyer on a young receiver, just see if he could work, in the offense. There's still some guys out there. I hate when people are like, oh my God, all the big free agents have been signed. That's not true. That is not true. You still got, Jadeveon Clowney's obviously out there. Just, we're talking in general. He's still out there. Let's see. You got receivers out there like Robbie Anderson, Emmanuel Sanders. You got some younger guys too under the cracks like Tajay Sharp, Rashad Perryman. What's this bullshit about there ain't nobody left? All the big guys have been signed. There's still players out there, man. Stop freaking out. Nothing's even official until 4 p.m. today, so relax, okay? But hopefully you guys enjoy. Again, I'll be recapping the biggest signings per team in the AFC and in the NFC. It'll be 2 separate videos. And the mock draft will be coming out Monday with trades. I'm going to be doing it, despite what I said about I'm only going to do it once. Nah, I changed my mind, man. With everything going on in the country, let's have some fun, man. Let's have some fun. Take your mind off of the virus going around, and let's just have fun. Do trades. Again, I'm only going to predict trades if it makes sense for both teams. If it doesn't make sense for both teams, I'm not going to throw it in the video for the sake of throwing it in. It has to make sense. It can't just make sense for one team. That's stupid. So hopefully you guys enjoy, man, and I'll see you next time. Peace.